have the opportunity to save costs, you know.
Yeah. Betul.
Make it very convenient, but people don't come. But
Yeah.
it's okay. To me, if we have 10 people, that's all right. I hope these 10 people these are people who really want to learn something,
Yeah.
rather than just coming for the point, you know, the CPD point. To be honest, Prof. Chen, I've been in
Yeah.
USM for 27 years.
Yeah.
By the time I retire next year, 28
you could.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have never once bothered about my CPD point. I have never checked. This the truth. I have never checked my CPD point. I have never bothered about my CPD point because I know I have more. I have I have plenty, and I have always exceeded the CPD point. So I don't attend anything for the CPD point. Never for CPD point. You know, sometimes people queue, you know, to register their CPD point. I have never actually done that because, to me, we want to learn because we want to learn, not for other things, you know. Right.
Yeah.
So
True.
it's 9:31 already. I always start things program on time. So right.
Okay.
So let me start. You already over there, Prof. Chen? All right. Okay.
Yes, I'm ready. Yes.
Okay. So Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Dan selamat sejahtera, selamat pagi pada semua sahabat-sahabat rakan-rakan akademik daripada USM. Dan kita juga mengalu-alukan tetamu kita, our distinguished guest speaker this morning, Prof. Dr. Chen Wen-jen. I hope I pronounced correctly, Dr. Chen, yes, but the other part, CHWN, is when?
Chuan.
Oh, sorry. Okay, Professor Dr. Chen Jen. Okay. So from I will introduce Prof. Chen shortly. So thank you so much, Prof. Chen, for accepting our invitation, CDE invitation, to share on the topic pedagogical partnership for co-creating online pedagogical practices. I think this CDAE actually, we organize, we bring speakers to talk about. Our program is actually divided into two parts. One is on the pedagogical aspect, topics related to pedagogical aspect, because we want our academic staff, you know, to have sufficient knowledge on the theoretical principles of pedagogy, you know, apart from the pedagogical content knowledge, but they must also have, they must understand the underpinning theory and principles of pedagogy. That's very important. They must be guided with proper pedagogical understanding, because apart from these people from education, we don't have a proper training and exposure on pedagogy. So the program that we organize in CDE focus on one part on pedagogy. The other part is actually on the technology, of course, and we want to integrate technology into the pedagogy or together with the pedagogy in a way that it becomes seamless, you know, and it become a second nature when designing the lesson, designing the course. So today is more on the pedagogy. I always hope that, as I mentioned just now, because out of close to 1,900 academic staff in USM, by now, probably about 60-70% have been exposed to the technology part. And this, thanks to COVID, in a way, the pandemic, it has accelerated. Otherwise, before pandemic, probably less than 50%, despite how many years we have been doing this training for our staff, but less than 50%. But again, because of the pandemic, it has been accelerated. But still, I would say around probably 70%, say 80% maybe, people come and learn more about the technology part, online and so on. But on the pedagogy part, I think it's still, I would say, relatively low number. And looking at the number that we have in this group, I think people still do not realize the importance of this kind of topic for them to learn more on the pedagogy aspect, which is quite sad, but we will continue. This is our kind of our agenda for the university, our da'wah. We cannot give up. We have to continue doing this. So for our friends here in this group, I hope you can put in a WhatsApp, call up your other colleagues, friends, and so on, ask them to come and join, because it's such a waste. We bring someone here like Prof. Chen, who can really talk about the pedagogy aspect. Yeah. So please, I will leave afterwards. So I hope to see more people to come and learn more from the expert. So let me introduce Prof. Chen. Once again, Prof. Chen, thank you so much. Let me just quickly read biodata of Prof. Chen. Prof. Chen Chuan Jen is a professor in learning technology, attached to the Faculty of Cognitive Sciences and Human Development in University Malaysia Sarawak, UNIMAS. Oh, just now I mentioned UMS. No, UNIMAS. Okay, so professor in learning technology and attached to Faculty of Cognitive Sciences and Human Development. That's why I really want our USM people to listen from Prof. Chen and learn more about learning technology and humanizing aspect of online education and so on, and integrate that with pedagogy. Much of Prof. Chen research and publication work is devoted to areas such as learning design, development of technology-based learning environments, usability issues in learning environments, educational data analytics and mining, as well as emerging learning technologies. She also has experience in spearheading the use of various learning technologies in her university, in UNIMAS, forming university-level faculty development programs related to teaching delivery, and working closely with other academics to advance the teaching and learning practices of the university. So that's very briefly Prof. Chen's biodata. Prof. Chen, I think, if not mistaken, you are also alumni of USM. Okay.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So we are very proud to have our alumni of USM, now professor in UNIMAS, and has kind of built up her career and specialization and her niche in learning technology.
Thank you.
So,
thank you very much to USM.
So, Prof. Chen, without further ado, I pass over the session to you. Silakan.
Okay, thank you very much to Prof. Karim for the very kind introduction. And a very good morning to everyone for your online presence here this morning. Yeah. So first of all, I would like to once again take this opportunity to thank Prof. Karim and also CDAE for inviting me to give my sharing in this webinar. So I'm honored by this invitation. So as mentioned by Prof. Karim, as an alumni of USM, I actually very delighted to be able to have this opportunity, because I can actually reconnect with the community of my alma mater. So I feel delighted and happy. Okay, so just now, Prof. Karim said that I'm going to focus a lot on the pedagogical aspect of it. Well, the title is Pedagogical Partnership. There are some aspects of pedagogy, but also I'll be touching a lot on the learning technology side, because I'm looking into both aspects, where talking about how pedagogical partnership can be implemented in the technological environment, like now what we are doing now. Okay, so that's my focus, not totally on the pedagogy, but it's an eclectic kind of thing, right? right, so without further ado, I think I will just proceed with my sharing. Yeah? Let me share my screen. Okay, as mentioned earlier on, okay, my sharing will focus on pedagogical partnership. And this is meant for co-creating online pedagogical practices. Yeah, therefore you can see that the technological aspect still will be brought in during my sharing. Okay, right. This will be my content outline. I will start by giving a little bit of idea on the concept of this pedagogical partnership approach, and also how this particular concept, yeah, or this particular approach can actually be implemented. All right, that's one thing. Secondly, I'm going to move on to talk about the roles of student partners in informing our pedagogical practices. And in this particular context, I'm going to focus on online pedagogical practices. Yeah. And the third part will be focusing on the types of data that can actually inform us on our students' online learning behavior, as well as the students' online learning experiences. Yeah, so we need to know these two types of data because I think that these are very important data that can help us to make decisions on our pedagogical practices. Yeah, so I actually structured it into 3 parts. Yeah. Okay, I will start with the first part, which is on a pedagogical partnership. Before we delve further into a pedagogical partnership, so let's see what we all understand about pedagogy. All right. So let's use Multimeter to gather your ideas about pedagogy. Okay, so we're going to move to Multimeter. So everyone can see my screen, right? Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So please go to Multimeter. I just want to have a compilation of your ideas about pedagogy. Okay, go to www.mentee.com and key in the code. Okay, key in the code, and you should be able to participate.
Let's do the Mentimeter, everyone.
Yeah, let's do the Multimeter. Okay. So my session, you just make it very casual. If you have any question, you can just chip in anytime and ask me. All right. So when I ask for participation, I hope everyone will participate. All right. Okay, there's no right or wrong answer, so don't worry, and everything will remain anonymous anyway. So
don't worry, Prof. Chen, USM staff always very responsive.
Okay, I have the first response here is on the method of teaching. Okay, very good. Okay, it's about teaching approaches. Yeah, so it's once again related to your teaching. It's talking about your method. Okay, talk about your approaches, right? Okay, anything else? Anything else that comes across your mind when we talk about pedagogy? Anything that comes across your mind? Okay. The art of teaching, okay, that's very nice because a lot of people said that, you know, pedagogy is about not only the science, but it's about the arts. Yeah. So science means that you have to based on some scientific data or evidence. Why is it that you do it this way? Because there's some scientific evidence that actually give you the confidence that you should do it that way. But it can also be an art because there's no right and wrong in how you deliver your deliver your content, right? So that's the arts part of it. Okay. So once again, we have a lot talking about the approaches, yeah, which is correct. Okay. Talking about the teaching strategies, the persuasion in education. All right, that's interesting. All right, talk about the method of learning. Yeah, teaching and learning comes together. All right, so you talk about your practice of teaching. Yeah, what actually you practice, yeah, in your teaching. That is very good. Okay. And then we also talk about the teaching theory. Yeah, these things comes in, you know, the theories is the science part of it, okay, the science part of it. So usually it's a combination of science and arts, yeah, because the way you design your learning will be different from the way I design, but maybe the way I design I mean, it could be different, but a lot of time it is based on some scientific evidence, yeah, scientific investigations, yeah. Yeah, that's very good. So I'm seeing a lot more here. Yeah, it could be student-centered. It could be instructor-centered. Okay, those are the two main approaches, yeah, that you may think of how to design your learning and your learning. Okay, so it could be student-centered. It could be instructor-centered. All right, any more? There's one more on the art, okay, learning method. It talks about, yeah, a lot of time it is actually focusing on the delivery, okay? But of course, throughout that process, before you can deliver, you also need to consider the content. You also need to consider how you design your materials, you know. You also need to consider your learners, and then you have to consider these different approaches, and you put it together, okay? And ultimately, the purpose is to produce effective learning. Okay, that is the ultimate aim of whatever that we are doing. We want to produce effective learning among our students. That's the most important thing. Yeah, I think everyone is just putting all the very important keywords here, yeah, when we talk about pedagogy. I think that's a thumbs up for CDAE. Yeah, because you know your staff is able to actually give all the important concepts of pedagogy. Yeah, well done, everyone. Well done. Okay, let's move back to our slides. Yeah. Okay, so that's on the pedagogical aspect. Okay, now let's move on to partnership. Okay, so I assume all of you here are educators. So let's do a very quick reflection on your journey as an educator. All right. So maybe some of you have been in this area for like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, anyway, just do a very quick reflection. Okay. My question is, yes, Prof. Karim, yes, I see you in other events, yeah. Thank you so much, Prof. So have you ever involved your students in deciding your pedagogical practices? That's my questions. Have you ever involved your students in deciding your pedagogical practices? Just now you mentioned that pedagogy is referring to your approaches of teaching, it's referring to your methods of teaching, your practice of teaching, the art and the science that you actually incorporate in your teaching. So have you ever actually involve your students in deciding your pedagogical practice? Okay, you can actually type your response, yes or no, in the chat box. Yeah. So let me just retrieve my chat box. Okay, you can type your response in the chat box. Have you ever involved your students in deciding your pedagogical practices? Just type yes or no. Okay, so I have the first response, no. Okay, any more response? Okay, great. We have someone who said yes. Unfortunately, no. I decided myself. Okay, that makes sense. Understand the importance, but I do not know. Okay, I assume that you have not involved your students, yeah? All right. Not the whole stretch though. Okay, means that some parts you are involving the students. That's good. Okay, I have another response saying no and yes from one of you. Okay, I'm not going to mention the name because maybe you're not very comfortable with it. But anyway, you can see the names in the chat box, right? Okay, that's very good. Okay, so we have mostly no, but a couple of you said yes, right? So okay, so my next questions is how were they involved? For a couple of you who actually mentioned yes, you can turn on your mic and talk to me. Okay, if you want to actually explain it to me, how actually involve your students in deciding your pedagogical practices. Any volunteers? Any volunteers? You can turn on your mic and just talk to me. Any volunteers? There's no right and wrong, but it's more like a sharing of what you have done. Any sharing? You can type it in the chat box if you feel uncomfortable to turn on your mic. How do you involve them? Maybe who were there? Are they your own students in your own class? How did you actually involve them? Or maybe you pick some of them and just talk to them. Or to understand the student's background. Okay, so we have one talking about that. You know, you actually involve the students because you want to understand the student's background. How do you actually get to understand the student's background? Is it by looking at their profile? Okay, you use it because you want to decide on your group assignment. Okay, therefore you actually get some understanding about your students, right? You get some understanding about the students in your class, you know, so that you can decide on the group assignment, the level of difficulty maybe, okay? And also, anything else? Okay, all right. I have another one who said yes, most probably referring to like means that you actually had ever involved your students, yeah, in deciding your pedagogical practices. Okay, thanks so much for your response, yeah. No worries about that, okay. There's no right and wrong. Thanks so much for your responses. All right, let's move on, okay. Okay, I have one more here, okay. Being flexible on the assignments during pandemic. Okay, so all right, so you involve your students being flexible. Not really know how to connect this, but unless you want to further explain it. You want to further explain it about the flexibility side of it? I asked them how they want the class to be conducted. Is it discussion or problem solving? Okay, that's straight to the point. Okay, you ask them, okay, which one you prefer? You want it to be a discussion? You want it to be a problem solving way of doing things? Yeah, you ask the students. Yeah, that's a kind of input from the students. All right. Okay, let's see how the pedagogical partnership concept that I'm going to talk to you later on similar or differ from your current practices. All right, okay, let's move on. Thanks so much. Okay, I have here is on pedagogical partnership. So this concept was actually introduced about 1 decade ago, okay, in Western universities, yeah, mostly in Western universities. And it is sometimes also known as students as partners, okay, getting students as partners, or in certain literature, it is known as student faculty partnership, okay, because in certain countries, faculty is actually referring to the academic staff, yeah, so that's why they use the word faculty. And sometimes, you know, they also use the term student staff partnership, okay, the staff here is most of the time referring to academics. Okay, so partnership with students, you know, the students and the lecturers or the academic partners, you know, when they are partners, you know, it can lead to various forms of co-creations. Okay, they can actually co-create their curriculum. That's one thing. Okay, they can actually both of parties, yeah, can co-create the pedagogy, and also sometimes you can actually co-create the assessment. All right, so in this sharing, I only focus on the co-creations of the pedagogical aspect, okay? Therefore, it is known as pedagogical partnership, yeah? So I'm going to focus on the pedagogical and not really on the curriculum aspect of it, okay? So the purpose, yeah, of doing this pedagogical partnership is, of course, the purpose of doing is we want to actually provide, yeah, to form and also to provide supports, yeah, that enable our students to thrive in the learning environment. Yeah, so we have to build up this partnership because we wanted to form the various kind of supports, yeah, that enable them to thrive. Yeah, and ultimately, of course, our purpose is we want to improve their learning. Okay, that's the purpose of this kind of partnership. Okay. Okay, let's see the differences between the conventional practice and the pedagogical partnership practice. So I think conventionally, one of you did give that particular response saying that we do not involve students, right? So you don't involve your students so far, okay? That's the conventional practice, I believe. I think a lot of us, we do not involve students, yeah? And in our pedagogical decisions. That means that when we decide on the content, when we decide on how we want to deliver it, when we decide on how to design our teaching and learning materials, when we decide on how our students will experience the learning content, we usually do not involve our students. We see sometimes, most of the time, we see students as more inferior than us. They are not as experienced as us. Therefore, we don't really value their input. Okay, so I think that's the conventional practice now. Okay, but then in pedagogical practices, it somehow requires some kind of work culture shift, in which we have an additional partner, coming in. That's our students, and these partners will actually help us to decide on our pedagogical practices. Okay, so there is a work culture shift. So previously we don't want to involve them. They are detached from these processes, but now we want to involve them. Okay, so my question is, how much can you accept students' involvement in deciding your pedagogical practices? How much can you accept that? Okay, so let's move back to our Multimeter just now. Okay, so we're going to have different questions here. So if you go into Mentee once again, okay, www.mentee.com with the similar code, okay, you can see this question. So I would like to see your acceptance of students' involvement in your pedagogical decisions. How much can you accept that? Some of you, have already involved the students, so I believe you can accept now. Okay, so far I have moderately accepting it, slightly, okay, slightly. Okay, I have more on moderate acceptance. Okay, would like to see more input from you. Okay, moderately. Okay, not bad. Slightly, okay. We want to see the bar chart, which one goes higher. Okay, so none of you actually can accept it at the very level, means that very high acceptance. Oh yeah, maybe one of you. Yeah, we do have a few of you. Extremely, that's great. Okay, that shows a very high acceptance of how you value a student's perspective in your pedagogical practices. Yeah. Okay, not so bad. The graph is like a normal curve now. Okay, so I will see that most of you into the positive side. Okay, that's a very good indication that you should continue on with my sharing, because by the end of my sharing, you may adopt what I share with you. All right, so that's very good. Okay, that's very good indicator of your acceptance. Yeah, thanks again for your participation. Okay, let's move back to our PowerPoint slides. Okay, how do we define pedagogical partnership? Okay, one of the definitions, of course, we have different definitions if you look at different literature, but I do like this one. It says that a pedagogical partnership is referring to a collaborative, okay, must be collaborative, reciprocal process, okay, through which all participants have the opportunity to contribute equally. So here, the participants referring to you as the academic and also your students as your partners. So both of you are partners, So you have academics and student partners that collaborate in the process, and it's a reciprocal process, means both students and academic partners are equally important in that process, although they may contribute in different ways, and most probably they will contribute in different ways, and ultimately what they want to achieve is they want to have like achieve some kind of like curricular or pedagogical conceptualizations, right? Or decisions, implementations, investigations, or even analysis of it. All right. So the focus is on curricular or pedagogical aspect. Okay. Of course, in my sharing, we only focus more on the pedagogical aspect of it. All right. Okay. So that's the definitions. So by PP. Okay. PP stands for pedagogical partnership. Okay. Firstly, because we value the experiences of students, and also we value the experiences of the academic staff himself or herself. Yeah, because we acknowledge that both went through different learning experiences, different life experiences. Yeah, I believe what you have experienced in universities could be very much different from what your students are experiencing in colleges or even in universities. Yeah, so we value those experiences, and of course, as an academic, we have different experiences as well. You have teaching experiences, for example. Yeah, so we want to combine these experiences. That's why one of the reasons. Yeah, why PP. Okay. Secondly, it supports academic staff in generative reflection about your teaching and also about your students. Yeah, I think this is very important because a lot of time, if we don't have this kind of intentional partnership being formed, you may not have a very disciplined kind of practice. Yeah, in doing some reflection about your teaching and also reflection about your students. Yeah, with PP, it actually will force you, to do it. Yeah, so that's one thing. Okay, so you start to think about your teaching and you start to reflect about your students. Yeah. Thirdly, it fosters the sense of belonging. So in the conventional practices, yeah, you can see that students do not have a say in your pedagogical practices, yeah, in your pedagogical decisions, they do not have a say. So when they don't have a say, they don't have this a sense of belonging. Yeah? They don't see that the course or program as belongs to them. Okay, and that's very obvious, right? Because they don't have a say. And conventionally also, students will see these educational institutions as a detached entity, yeah, because they cannot actually influence its working, okay, cannot influence its working at all. But PP, okay, will provide an opportunity to evolve an institution into a place where members of the community feel a meaningful connection, okay? So if you think of it at a micro level, if you just do it for your own course, you may not see this, the effects at the institutional level. Okay, but imagine if every academic is doing that for their courses, yeah, for their respective courses, means that the whole university is actually implementing that. Then you can see that it can actually create that connections at the institutional level. Okay, so that's some of the reasons why PP. Okay, why so let's see some of the benefits of PP for academics. Yeah, so what are the benefits? Firstly, it can actually develop confidence. Okay, and this is particularly relevant to those novice educators. Those who are still very new to teaching and learning. So if you are a newcomer to this field, okay, a newcomer, then basically, if you have a partnership with the students, it can develop your confidence because you get students to give you the input, yeah, on how you actually did, in your pedagogical practices. But it also can develop clarity about pedagogical commitments, which I think is valid for both novice and also experienced educators. Yeah, because sometimes what we think as being the best, in our practices may not be viewed as the same by our students. Yeah, so that's something we want to develop that clarity about pedagogical practices. Okay, secondly is the perspective. Yeah, by having this PP, we can gain a perspective that cannot be achieved on our own. Yeah, because we are gaining a perspective from students. Students are very different from us. Yeah, so by involving them, we can gain their perspective. And I think another important benefit is we can actually receive a formative feedback. Okay, I believe you know the difference between summative and formative. So formative means that during our course implementation, we already receive feedback, and therefore we can devise a lot of intervention strategies during our course implementation. And we'll not just wait until the end of the course, only we know, oh, that's how my students perform my course, but then to me, I think it's a bit too late to do anything, yeah, to help our students. Yeah, so that's formative feedback is important. And fourthly is it helps us to recognize our good pedagogical practices and therefore making them intentional, maybe for the future implementation. and as well as it helps us to recognize our not so good pedagogical practices. Yeah, that's one thing. What are the benefits? I think it also helps to share the teaching and learning responsibility with our students, yeah, because now the pedagogical decisions are decided by taking into their view, yeah, so we are sharing a little bit on the responsibility with our students, and also can create greater empathy within us, okay, greater understanding and appreciation for students, because we actually spend time to think about them, yeah, to reflect on these students of ours, yeah. So that's one possibility of the benefits. And of course, another benefits is you may also turn your pedagogical learnings, yeah, through this partnership practice, you know, you can turn it into a publishing opportunities, yeah. So that's something that's interesting as well, okay. Right. How about for students? Any benefits for them? Yes. Okay. One thing is that now what we are trying to get is that we are going to get students as our partners, and one of the functions of the students is to actually comment what we are doing. Okay, they are going to comment us, you know. So and I don't see many students are confident to doing it in a very polite and acceptable way. Okay, so this pedagogical partnership setup here will actually build their confidence, you know, to articulate their perspective, you know, telling us in a polite way, in an acceptable way about the way we teach, you know. So I think that's one good thing for students, yeah, building their confidence in this aspect. And also they can also develop a deeper understanding of learning and themselves as learners, yeah, because they start to involve into things like this, yeah. And also they can develop deeper understanding of teaching because they partner with you, okay, they understand how you teach as well, right? So they have a deeper understanding of teaching. So that's one of the benefits for our students. And of course, while they are doing that, yeah, while during that partnership process, yeah, where there will be activities for them, they will start to develop greater empathy for the academics, yeah, as well as for other students. Yeah, that's for potential benefits. And connections, feeling stronger connections to academics and also faculties. And if you are getting a student partner who is actually not enrolled in your students, yeah, student partner not necessarily someone who you enroll in your students, but can be someone who is not enrolled to your student to your course, then means that these students have the opportunity to take courses that they may otherwise don't have the chance to experience, yeah. So that's one thing. And troubleshoot, okay, develop creative and innovative ways to troubleshoot pedagogical challenges. And finally, they also have the publishing opportunities. Yeah, they can turn these pedagogical learnings into publishing opportunities. So this is some of the benefits there for students. Yeah. So why do we need to know these benefits? I think we need to know these benefits because we also need to convince them to become our student partner. Okay, therefore we need to tell them the benefits of becoming one. Okay, all right, so that's all for the first part of it, which is on the pedagogical partnership. So before I move on to the second part, which is on the roles of the student partners, so any one of you have any questions? Any one of you have any questions? Yes. Sorry. Any questions? Okay, I'm trying to get back to my chat. You can turn on your mic, yeah?
Prof. Chen,
Yeah.
there's one question on chat box. If you can refer.
All right. Is it the one from YouTube? Is it?
Yes.
Okay. I have a number here. Okay. In adopting PPE, I think the educator has to be open-minded and be ready to accept criticism. Yes, that's very, very important. Yeah, that's why just now I have a questions to look into your acceptance. Yeah, because yeah, the fact is that you have to be able to have that acceptance on a student's criticism. Very true. And need to lower the fear among students. Correct. You got to actually build a good rapport with the student partners. Yeah, because only that with that, yeah, they will be able to like break the ice, yeah, between you and your students, and then only then they can what I meant is that they don't have the fear to tell you the truth. Yeah, that's very true. Okay, can PP be more effective when the feedback is anonymous? Feedback here, feedback is anonymous. Okay, the concept of PP that I'm introducing now is actually referring to where you actually need to recruit some students as your student partners. Not everyone in your course, yeah, not every students in your course will be your partners. You're going to choose some of them. Okay, so in my subsequent slide, you will see who can become your student partners. Yeah, so therefore this feedback will not be anonymous because they are the one who will give you the feedback. And usually sometimes if you get feedback from their other peers in the course who are not your student partners, they also know who they are. Okay, so we as the academic partner also have to be very fair, okay, in our whatever judgment, because we cannot like as you said, yeah, you have to be very open-minded. Yeah, basically means that you have to accept criticism, which also means that, you know, if somebody said something bad about your practices, you cannot actually put it as something that, you know, you will take revenge later on. You know, maybe you will reflect that in your assessment of that particular students and so on and so forth. Okay, you should not have that kind of mind, because the reason for this partnership is you want to improve that process. So that open-minded is really a very good keywords, yeah, that are being highlighted, yeah, by our one of the audience in this morning. Yeah, that's very good from you. Okay, all right. Okay, so any more that I want to talk about? Any more question or just comment? Okay, if you just comment, then it's okay. All right. Okay, so now I will move on to the roles of the student partners. Yeah, so there are 4 roles that I can highlight here. So first role is to serve as a consultant, where the student partner will provide valuable perspectives on learning and teaching, you know, from their perspective, which can be very different from our perspective, right? So that's one thing, as a consultant. Secondly, they can act as a core researcher. Yeah, so some of you may be very much involved in SOTER, yeah, scholarship, teaching and learning, where basically is you try to find a lot of evidence of learning in your students, you know, looking at this evidence to inform your teaching, right? So here in this case, you can use your student partner as a core researcher to help you to find this evidence. Yeah, so that's one thing, as a core researcher. And next would be as a co-designer, where you start to have discussion with them and you start to co-create learning, teaching, as well as maybe your assessment as well. Okay, so changes may occur to what you have done at the moment because of the input from your student partner. So they are acting as co-designer, or maybe the 4th role is just as a representative, where they contribute to a university decisions. Yeah. All right. So potential student partners, who are they? Firstly is those who are enrolled in the focal course. Okay, you can actually get some of them to become your student partners. So in my own experience, I actually recruited 3 of them. Okay, 3 of my students were enrolled in my focal course, yeah, to become my student partners. I also have like a student partner who is not enrolled in the focal course, yeah, someone who is outside of the course. Okay, and these students could be from the undergraduate level, okay, could be of the postgraduate level, okay, or it can be students with specific characteristics, yeah. So for example, you want to involve like international students only, yeah, because you wanted to find out whether what you have practiced, your pedagogical practices, are actually suited for this group of students. So you actually purposely recruit some international students within your course, or maybe outside of your course, to become your student partners. Okay, or maybe you want to actually get some minority groups, yeah, among your students to be your student partners, yeah, because you wanted to know what you have done, you know, so far, is it suitable or appropriate for them? Okay, therefore you purposely recruit them. Okay, So that's one thing. So these are the potential student partners. Yeah. Now, so far over the past decade, you can see that PP is getting popular, and so far it emphasizes on physical classroom focused partnership. Okay, that is what is happening. So it focuses on that. Okay, and as we all experience now, okay, we are into online teaching and learning. It has become our new normal of practice. All right. So now, what I want to highlight is let's see how this online learning distinct from our face-to-face learning. Okay. Firstly, you have lack of visual cues in your online learning, right? You cannot see the behavior of your students right away because you don't see them in person, right? So lack of visual cues. How do I know their behavior? That's one thing. Learners' engagement is often examined through interaction with some tools. Yeah, that's how you actually examine your learners' engagement. Yeah, see how they interact with some of the tools that you use. And online behavior is captured via the online activity logs, and also looking into some interaction evidence. Yeah, so that's how you try to capture the online behavior. Correct? Not because you don't see them face to face. That's the thing. Okay. The next thing is that online learning, although is actually not totally anonymous. Yeah, it's not totally anonymous. Because you still can see their name, right? Okay, a lot of time you're actually dealing with their names. you still know who they are, but actually it can give some level of anonymity. Okay, and because of that, some students, yeah, they feel more comfortable with this platform, and they can become more vocal. Okay, either in written form or in verbal form, they can become more vocal because of that. That's the fact of online learning. But it also can encourage a negative behavior, like lacking of attention. Yeah, like when you are actually having your live classes, or maybe when you put up your materials in your LMS, you actually found that students may not be actually giving any attention at all, to what you are delivering to them. Okay, lack of attention. Okay, it can actually encourage that, and also low online retention rate. Yeah. Sometimes they come to your course, sometimes they don't come into your online course, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that can happen. But on the bright side also, online learning is creating a more equitable learning environment, particularly for those with physical disability. Yeah, I think that's a good thing for those with physical disability. Okay, so that's some of the differences between online learning and face-to-face. Okay, so now my question is, can PP be implemented in online learning environments? Yeah, because so far PP has been implemented in classroom-based learning environments. Yeah, and can PP discover, can the pedagogical partnership discover the unseen online learners' behavior and also their experience, yeah, which are very much needed in making our pedagogical practice decisions. Yeah, can we actually uncover those things? I think that's a very important thing that we need to know. Yeah, that can help us to decide on our pedagogical practices. Yeah. So today, what I wish to do is I wish to share with all of you, okay, on my idea on how to actually implement PP in online learning environments. Yeah, because so far, as I mentioned, if you look at the literature, most of the literature will focus on classroom-based learning environment. So I actually have implemented this in my courses, and so far it works. Yeah, hence I would love to share with all of you. And I actually have structured this partnership, yeah, into partnership sequence, yeah, into 6 activities. Yeah, so I have structured it into 6 activities. That's how I did it in my course, and I think that it works. Firstly, is you have to recruit student partners. All right, as I mentioned, first of all, you have to identify what type of student partners that you want to recruit. Is it you want to involve, 1 or 2 or 3 of the students who actually enrolled in your course, or you want to recruit one student who is actually not enrolled to your course? You don't need to have a lot of students because this student partner is going to work closely with you. Okay, so you cannot have a lot of them. Okay, and then in that particular recruitment process, it is very important for you to explain the purpose of this partnership to your potential student partners, yeah, because you need to convince them to become your partners, right? Yeah, you have to also tell them the benefits, you know, of becoming one. Okay, that's one thing. So from my experience, yeah, I found that it's actually easier to recruit those who are part of our course. That means that those who enroll to our course, yeah, is actually easier. In fact, many of them actually eager to participate as student partner. I guess because they are taking the course itself, and you as a lecturer, you know, asking the students to become the student partner, so they get excited, you know, to involve and to help. So not so much problem if you want to get students within the course itself, okay? But if you think of getting student who is not enrolled to the course, that will be a little bit challenging, yeah? That's why I am proposing that we should provide some kind of extrinsic reward for their participation, okay? In my case, what I did was that I actually involved my FYP students, the final year project students, because of my area. So these students are suited to take this kind of project, you know, as their FYP. So I recruit them as my student partner. Okay, so these students are not enrolled to the course, yeah. So that's one way. But if you don't have this kind of students, that means you have to get other students, yeah, out of your course. So maybe some kind of monetary reward can be something that is encouraging to them. It could be an extrinsic kind of reward, or maybe a high recognition from the faculty, yeah, can be something that is very encouraging to them, yeah. So maybe there is a official appointment by the faculty, you know, as a student partner for your course, yeah? Something that can they bring into their CV later on, you know, when they ask for recruitment, yeah? So something that can benefit them. I think that is also one of the ways to encourage them, you know, or to convince them to become your student partner. Okay, so that's one of the things that you have to do, recruit your student partner. Okay. Secondly is to have some of course, you know, once you have identified your student partner, you need to have some initial discussions with these partners. You know, both of you need to sit down together and to understand that this partnership is going to be a collaborative process. It's going to be a reciprocal process where both parties are very important, yeah, and therefore they have to bear some kinds of commitments, yeah. They need, for example, the student partners, maybe you want them to provide a weekly update, you know, and also you, both of you may have to like set up some schedule for your reflection sessions, yeah. Both of you need to agree on that, right? And also, I have talked about the need to build good rapport. Okay, as mentioned just now, that is very important to reduce the fear of our students to comment us. Okay, so by building that good rapport, we become friends. You know, so it's easier for the students to actually tell you the truth. Okay, that's important. And of course, in this initial discussion, because we are talking about a learning environment that is not the conventional classroom-based learning environment, we have to tell our students specifically, yeah, our student partner, what are the means that can help to identify our online learners' learning behavior as well as their learning experiences. So what are the means? Where can we get those information? Okay, so that's very important, and that's also one part that I'll be covering later on. Okay, now partnership activity 3 is the observations of the students' online learning behavior and participation. Yeah, so after the student partners and you yourself have a good understanding of how to go about the partnership, the next thing is to observe, you know, that students' online behavior and also their participation. So a lot of time, this is mostly done by our student partner. Okay, and observations were made according to the means as identified in activity 2. Yeah, so we will identify the means. So the student partner will come in and work it out for us. All right, so that's for partnership activity 3. Okay, and activity 4 is the student partners. Yeah, usually it's the student partners. Yeah, we will get them to have like virtual dialogues or interviews with other students in the course, yeah, the enrolled students, yeah, get them to have these virtual dialogues or interviews, or maybe a simple online survey, okay, in order to identify the learning experiences of the students, yeah. So a lot of the means that we have, maybe just being able to tell us the behavior, but to get the experience, yeah, usually you need to ask those involved. Okay, so interviews, dialogues, yeah, survey could be some of the ways for you to dig up their experiences. Okay, so student partner once again help us to collect this, to analyze the data and also to give us the findings, yeah, to report us on the findings. Now, activity number 5 is to have periodical virtual meetings between both partners, where both partners will sit down together and the student partner will share the findings that he or she get from the observations, yeah, from interview, from survey, okay, and then both will analyze the findings, will look at it, and then they will start to discuss and reflect on maybe the possible ongoing interventions. What can we do? We are seeing this kind of behavior, so what can we do about that, for example? And can start to identify which practice is actually good, which one is not so good, so we can look into that. And of course, we can discuss about future improvement if we cannot do ongoing interventions, yeah. So, and finally, is the final conversations between both partners, where both partners will actually look into the what the academic staff partner actually did during the semester. Okay, we'll go through, see what worked, what did not work, and things like that, and what kind of online pedagogical approaches to be worked on. Okay, so that's on the final activity. So what I want to mention is that all these 6 activities are actually performed virtually, which basically means that you do not have to meet your student partners face to face as well. Okay, so it can all be done virtually, and I think it works. All right, is there any questions for anyone? Any questions for anyone? So far I've been talking about the roles of the student partners and who can be your student partners, and also the sequence of the activities that you can go through, in order to establish this partnership. All right. Okay, now let's move on, if there's no questions, okay, to the third part, which is going to be a long part of my sharing here, is on the types of data that can inform us on the students' online learning behavior and our students' online learning experiences. All right, so yeah, I saw somebody wrote something. So the students are doing extra work but not paid. Okay, yeah, this is a very good question. As I mentioned, if you get some students who are actually enrolled in your own course, as I mentioned, through my experience, I found that those students are actually very eager. They're very excited to help because they are part of the course. So in that case, I don't really see that there is a need to do any extrinsic kind of reward, okay? But as I mentioned just now, for the students, if you were to get students partner, yeah, someone who is not enrolled to your course, it can be challenging, okay? If you can actually give some kind of like extrinsic reward, yeah, that would be good. Okay, if the faculties agree to have some amount to be paid to this student partner, that would be good. Yeah, or otherwise, at least they have to give some kind of recognition, as I mentioned just now. Maybe an official appointment of this student partner, okay, by the faculty. So this could be something maybe that is encouraging as well for your students who are not enrolled to the course. Yeah. So that's, I hope I answer your questions. Yeah. So for my case, all my students are not paid. Okay, they are not paid because the students who are not enrolled to my students, they are actually my F1P students. So it's actually part of their work as well. So they are not paid. Okay. So if you don't have the opportunity, then you really have to think of some extrinsic reward. Okay. Otherwise, it may not be so easy to recruit them. Okay, but if you want to get those from your own course, then it's easier. Okay. Okay, another question is, how does PP correct personalized learning? Okay, let me just do the sharing first on my last part and see how it goes. Yeah, see how it goes. Yeah, so I'll do my sharing first. All right. Okay. All right. The third part of my sharing is the type of data to inform two aspects. One is the behavior. Another one is the experience. Yeah. So these are two different aspects. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use the example from my own course. Okay. So I'm using three major platforms in my full online course. I believe many of you may be also using the similar, these three major platforms. Yeah. One of these is LMS. Okay, so this is the platform where my students can access to asynchronous learning materials, yeah, such as pre-recorded teaching videos, yeah, the lecture notes, and the various online activities, all within the LMS. And also, I have this social messaging app, okay, which is another platform. It is being introduced because I want to ease the communication between me and my students and also among my students. All right, I'm using that. And of course, I also have this live class meeting, which is meant to provide a synchronous kind of revision, okay, and reinforcement of what the students have learned asynchronously via LMS. So LMS is the core, okay. These two are actually the support, yeah. So this is how I design my full online course, yeah. And then the means to identify online learners' behavior. These are the means that I have, all right. I have mentioned the three platforms. So in order to identify the behavior of my students in the LMS, I look at the learning analytics reports that are provided by the LMS. Yeah, so the learning analytics reports are actually very useful in providing us the ideas, yeah, about our students' online learning behavior, because you don't see them first of all. So we must find other means to find out their behavior. Okay. Another one is the participants report, okay, which is also obtainable via the LMS itself. Okay. And then for the live class, means for me to identify online learners' behavior would be through the live class attendance, okay, when you come in the live class, the live class interaction, okay, the way that they interact, as well as the live chat analysis. Yeah, you can do an analysis of the chat. And for the social messaging app, for me to identify the online learners' behavior is through the content, the chat content analysis. Yeah, that's how I can identify the online learners' behavior. And the means to identify online learners' experience is through like having virtual dialogue or interview with students who are enrolled to the course. You dialogue with them, or giving them an online survey, usually a brief one, and also learning experience reflection. Okay, learning experience reflection. This one can comes from the students who partner with you. Okay, and can only be done by students who are enrolled to your course. So these students partner, okay, those who are enrolled to your course can actually give you this learning experience reflection, which is a very good source, okay, for you to understand the online learners' experience. Yeah. So these are the means that I have identified so far. Okay. And of course, if you have other means, you can just include it into the table itself. Yeah. Right. Let's zoom into each of the platforms. So just now I mentioned the three platforms. Yeah, the first one is the LMS. So the first platform, LMS, and the LMS that I'm using in my university is Moodle-based. So this is the one we call it ELIP. So in USM, I think also, if I'm not wrong, you're also using the Moodle-based LMS. Yeah. So you call it as Learn. So the first mean, okay, that can provide information, yeah, about my students' online behavior is through the participants report that I can derive from the LMS. Okay, this is a very very simple thing, okay, but then it can actually tell us something about our online learners' behavior. So the participants report actually show the list of participants, in your course, okay, with the details like the name, the metric number, email address, the faculty, students may come from different faculties, right, in your course. The role of the participants, could be the students or could be instructor as well. All right, the group, the group of the students with the formed within the LMS, okay, and also very nice information is their last access to the course. Okay, so this kind of report can actually provide a good overview of all students who enrolled to your course and also their identification details. Yeah. So if you look at this, this is just a screenshot from my LMS that shows the participants report, which I believe you can also retrieve from your LMS. Okay. It's okay, you don't have to see the detail. Okay, it's not very important the detail, but generally what you see is that you can see the list of name of your participants, you know, with all the details. Yeah. And one of the very important thing is that last access to the course. Yeah. So what kind of online behavior that I can retrieve from this simple report is the last access to the course, enable us to easily identify, students who are active and students who actually did not access the course for a specific duration. Okay, so if I look at this, students with poor online participation often prompt the instructor for intervention. Okay, so we can just look at this and then we can look at the understand the online behavior of the students. Yeah, so in my case, student partner, I'm using the example of the student partner who is not enrolled to my course. So what it's supposed to do is provide a weekly analytics compilation. So based on the learning analytics available in the LMS, so she will retrieve some important information. Like in this case, from the participants report, she will actually compile, students who did not access my course for a particular week, or maybe for more than a week. Okay, so it's very important for her to actually compile the information. So in this case, you can see that my student partner is working as a core researcher. Yeah, you know why? Because she's actually helping me to collect information, to collect data from the participants report, from this report that is derived from the LMS, right? And as an academic partner, so by looking at the simple report, then straight away, I can easily identify your student who did not access my course, for a specific duration. And this actually further trigger me to further probe on this student's absence. All right. And just because of the actions that I take, I get some insight on the happening on my students. I found that a couple of the students reported on their poor internet connectivity. Therefore, they did not access my LMS course. Okay. So as an intervention, what I did was that I added all learning resources in a shared folder. I communicate with these students, and I ask them to actually find a good spot with good internet connection and download all the resources to their own devices for their offline study. So this is what I did. Okay. So and then periodical checking, of course, I did it, for progress update. Yeah, that's what I did. Okay, periodically. So that's an example of how a simple idea on the behavior can lead to this kind of intervention. Okay, that's what I wanted to highlight here. And student partner is helping me in this sense by doing that compilation for me, which is easy for me to identify who these students are. Okay, so second type of a report, which I also think that is also meaningful, on informing us about students' online behavior is the activity report, which you can also derive from your LMS. You can derive it from your LMS. So this activity report will show the total number of views and the total number of users who access each learning item. Okay, so what happened is that this activity report, it does not provide the details of the action. It only provides information on the views. How many views that has happened for each of the learning item that you have in your LMS. So in your LMS, I believe you have put up a lot of learning items, which including your learning resources, including all the learning activities that you have put out there. You have a lot there. Okay, so this activity report will give you a very good overview of students' general participation in all learning items. So this is an example of the screenshot of the activity report. You see from this activity report here. It's okay to be blurred. You don't have to really get the details. Here you can see that there is a list of activities. A list of learning items in your LMS. The list goes on, and here you can see the number of views and also the number of users involved. So by looking at this, it can actually give you a very good overview of your students' participation of all the learning items that you have in your LMS. So now, what kind of online behavior that we can actually derive from this kind of learning analytic report, which is the activity report. We can identify student participation, or engagement level in the provided learning items. Yeah, so straight away we can see, okay. And another thing is that it may actually point to the need for intervention to increase participation. Yeah, so if you see some learning items with not so good participation, then you can actually plan for some kind of intervention. Yeah, that's one thing. And also it allows us to compare student participation, yeah, in the different learning items that you have put up in your LMS. So you can actually compare and see, and then from there you can identify which one is the most preferred activities or the least participant activities, yeah, which actually can help us to infer maybe students' preferences or perception of each item. Okay, so these are the online behavior that you actually can derive by just looking at the activity report. Okay, so in my case, all right, in my case, I have this student partner, okay, providing me the regular compilations of report. Yeah, so here she will actually highlight unusual participation level in learning items. Unusual here could be learning items with very high participation or maybe with very low participation. So she is going to highlight that. Okay, so every week she's going to highlight some of the learning items, and then she also started to have like initial dialogues with students here to know why, you know, why certain learning items are being more preferred than the others. So she start to have some communication with the other students, yeah, in the course. And here we can see that, you know, once again, the student partner is acting as a co-researcher to me. Okay. And academic partners then can easily identify popular learning items, yeah, by looking at the report, and therefore can provide necessary intervention, especially for the least popular learning items. Yeah, so it's so the insight that can gain from here in my case, so the popularity of a specific learning item, you can see which one is more popular. Okay, I found that in my course, individual tasks, okay, lecture slides, and also submissions of progressive tasks are identified as more popular if I were to compare with other learning items. Yeah, and students tended to prefer lecture slides to teaching videos. Yeah, so in my course, what happened is that for every learning unit, I have actually chopped it down into many teaching videos. So, but all these teaching videos, one learning unit will only have one set of lecture slides. Yeah, I found that their students actually prefer my lecture slides more than the set of teaching videos. You know, so because I believe you need to spend more time, you know, to watch through all the teaching videos that is actually require shorter time for the student just browse through the lecture slide. Okay, so that's one of the things that I found out. Okay, and students provided more effort to progressive tasks that need to be reported in live classes. So if they have to do some tasks and these tasks need to be reported in the live classes, it seems that they are more engaged. Yeah, so I found out that through the activity report. Okay, through the activity report. So of course, the intervention would be to do some action, you know, on the less acted learning items. Yeah, so that's what we can do. So this is just an example. Once again, you know, from the screenshot here, these are the lists of learning items, you know, and I can easily identify, you know, what are the popular learning items. Yeah, my student partners are actually helping me as well in this case. And here you can see like, for example, these are the list of activities. You know, initially the views, you know, not so many, so not very encouraging. So I gave a lot of reminder to the students, and after the reminder, after the intervention, you can see the number of views seems to increase. So once again, I'm trying to highlight that, you know, simple understanding or discovery of their online behavior through this kind of analytic can enable us to do ongoing intervention, which I think is going to benefit our students' learning. Yeah, so let's give it a try in your case. All right, so I hope you're still with me. This is the third kind of learning analytic that you can derive from your LMS, okay, which is called the course participation report. Okay, so what can you get from here? So course participation report, you know, it shows all students, all instructors, or group of students action. Okay, for a specific learning item. So just in the activity report, you see a long list of activities. Yeah, but here you don't. Okay, you choose one activity and then you see the details of the actions by your participants. That makes a difference. Yeah. So here it provides the details of action based on the chosen learning item. Okay. It could be based on all the students. You want to see the details for all your students, or you want to see the details based on the groups of students formed in your in the LMS itself. Okay, so that's the thing that you can see from here. So here, for example, you have the list of students' name here, okay, and their action for a specific learning item. So you can see yes and no, okay. So how many times the students have acted on it. So you can straight away see this, okay. That's very important to tell us the behavior of our students, right? Okay. Now, so as mentioned, it can tell us the overall participations of all students for a specific learning item, okay, and also actions by student groups, yeah, not just for individual student, but the group of students formed in LMS, yeah, which is also very important, I think. Okay, in my case, once again, the student partner, okay, report on students' participation level in targeted learning items. So this time, she will go into the specific learning item, like for instance, for a particular week, these are the learning items that the students are supposed to go through. So the focus will be on those learning items, yeah. So we'll report on the participation level, which is actually derived from the course participation report, okay. So here I start to see my student partner to serve as not just as a core researcher by digging out that information, but also as a core designer, because she started to give me the idea, on how to go about this. Yeah. So as an academic partner, I can easily identify students who are actually having poor participation in specific learning items, and I can start to devise for intervention strategy. So here, just an example about participation in a quiz activity that I have in my course. So my student partner found that there is a poor participation, because only 45 students out of 70 over students in my course completed the quiz by the due date. So she informed me that, and therefore she said that, she suggested to me, why not we just leave the due date, okay? Because she knows that, at that particular point, that duration, that period of semester, students are also very busy with other courses, yeah. So it seems that my student partners start to develop empathy, sense of empathy here, right? So then I listened to her, so I leave up to do that, and I advised them to actually attempt the quiz that they're supposed to work on before the mid-semester exam, because the quiz is meant to prepare them for their mid-semester examination. So I'm happy because right before the mid-semester exam, I found out that 75 out of 76 students of my course actually have completed it. Yeah, so this is an example of, once again, an example of how ongoing intervention can actually help, our students. Yeah, and this intervention is afforded because we understand their behavior. Okay, yeah. So here we can see that this course participation report, yeah, allows us to also see the participation based on group. This is also something that is very interesting, yeah, because a lot of time we ask our students to do group work, okay? And when it comes to the submissions of work, for instance, yeah, we don't want every group member to actually submit the work, yeah, that they have done in group. So usually we only ask the group leader or maybe the group representative to submit the work. So if you don't have this kind of analytic, yeah, so what happens is you have to trace one by one, which group has already submitted and which group has not submitted. So by looking through this course participation report, yeah, that allow us to actually see the participation based on group, it actually allow us to easily identify groups that, who did not submitted the assignment, for instance, their progress work, for example, okay? So it can allow easy identification of this group. And with that information, then we can do something. Yeah, usually we will alert them, okay, why you didn't submit. And it also may point to the need for additional assistance, yeah, because they didn't submit. It may point that maybe they need further clarification or further assistance from us. Yeah, so I think simple report, but tells us about the behavior and allow us to do something about it during our course implementation. Yeah, that's very important. That's what I want to highlight. Okay. The fourth type of learning analytics report, okay, I hope you're still with me. So far, I've been talking about participants report that lists out all the participants' information. Yeah, give us the behavior of their last access to the course, so we will know who is active, who is passive. Okay, second one is the activity report that gives us a very good general understanding of their participation for all the learning items, so we can identify which one is popular, which learning item is not popular, what happened to the what is actually happening to the non-popular one. Is there something wrong that we have done in the non-popular learning item? So it actually alerted us to do something. Yeah, if our students not really participating in certain learning items, what kind of interventions that we can do. So that is from the activity report. And then from the course participation report, we can see the details based on the learning items, yeah, which can actually zoom into the specific individual who actually did not do it. So we can actually zoom into the detail, yeah, on the course participation. And here, the activity completion report, yeah. The beauty of this report is show all activities for all learning items, but it is based on students, okay? It will show based on the students. So if you wanted to know the individual students' overall accomplishment, then you should go for this analytic. Yeah? So you can look at the individual students' overall accomplishment, or you want to see the participation level for each learning item. You can also use this activity completion report. Okay, so this is an example of how it looks like, the report. Okay, so here you have the list of the names of the students, yeah, the list of the names of students, and these are the list of the learning items that you have in your LMS. Yeah, learning items here refer to the learning resources and also the learning activities that you have. Yes, so everything will be listed. Okay, so by looking at the boxes here, you will generally get a very good understanding of your individual students' accomplishment. If you see like a lot of boxes are not being checked yet, okay, basically you get an understanding that these particular students need some kind of intervention from you. Okay, so it tells us us about the behavior of these students, and therefore it prompts us to do certain things. Yeah. So once again, if you can see, okay, in my case, all right, my students partner helped me to identify students with poor activity completion. So she checked through and then she identified, the critical one. Okay, and as an academic partner, we will have to devise some kind of intervention strategies. Yeah, even by knowing the active one is also good, because sometimes in our delivery we want to also highlight those with good participation, yeah, and they may serve as a good mentor for those who are not so good in the participation. Okay, so we can do something about that. Right, so this is just an example from my course, talking about the access to teaching videos. Okay, teaching videos. So it helps me to identify students who did not access, yeah, through this activity completion report. So very easily can identify who are the students who actually did not access to my teaching video specifically. Okay, so the action in my case would be I actually approach these passive students individually. I use my WhatsApp, okay, using my text and messaging app. I actually communicate with them, remind them to do it. And I found something that is interesting is happening is that all the students that I've contacted, actually quite a lot of them, spent some time for it, found that all students actually responded positively to my this personal intervention. And in fact, I feel that not just they then responded to it, yeah, by doing whatever that they have not done in the LMS, but I also feel that I managed to break the ice, yeah, between me and the students, yeah, and building their courage here to actually approach me individually via the text messaging app. Okay, so that's something that I found, okay, on this kind of intervention. All right, so I'm moving on to the next analytics report that I feel that can also provide us information about students' online learning behavior. Okay, that is the LUX report. Okay, LUX report is a comprehensive report. Okay, it can show all or selected individual participants' actions on provided learning items on a specific day, so all days. Yeah, a very comprehensive learning analytics that can provide all details of actions by all participants in all learning activities. Yeah, very comprehensive. So it can provide the macro view, yeah, the macro participation of our students. But at the same time, it can also be customized to show details of a specific participant. Okay, you can zoom into a specific participant or specific activity or learning item. Okay, specific action and specific depth. So you can also view it at the micro level. Okay, that's the beauty of this logs report. Okay, so if you were to see that this is how the logs report look like. Okay, not very important to see the details, but here at the top here you can see there is a menu. Okay, where the drop down menus that you can actually choose and pick whether you want to see at the macro level or you wanted to see the report at the micro level. Okay, so that's a very interesting learning analytics, yeah, that you can have. All right, so what I want to share here is that for the logs report, yeah, the students and also the academic partner can actually download these details in .csv format, yeah, the Excel format, okay. You can actually download all the details in the Excel format. And what is important here is once you have all this data with you, you can analyze this data, okay, together with other data, okay. For example, if you have data about the students' demographic, okay, or you have data about the students' academic achievement, yeah, either in the mid-semester exam, you know, in the assignment achievement, you know, or maybe achievement in other courses, you know, or maybe their learning condition, okay, or maybe information or data about their online learning readiness. If you have other data with you, you can analyze together with the data that you downloaded just now from the logs report, okay? So here you can, because of the analysis that you did, you know, you may be able to find variables that are correlated, okay, between these data sets. You can maybe find the predictors of the course achievement, you know, what are the good predictors of students who for the students' achievement of your course, yeah, what are the good predictors, you know, you can find out from there. And also maybe you can find out the key characteristics of students, you know, students with similar characteristics, yeah, similar course achievement, like those students who achieve excellently in my course, what are the characteristics of the students? So you can actually derive all this information, yeah, by mining the data, okay, because you've got a lot of data with you, okay, so you can actually do that. Or in the you can also come up with a prediction model, okay, prediction on the students' course achievement for future course implementation, yeah, so that you can actually do like intervention to reduce the failure. So this part, yeah, can actually be done because this logs data can be downloaded, yeah, in .csv format. Therefore, you can do other analysis with it, yeah. But this is an ongoing work for my current work, so I have not much to report at this moment, yeah. So therefore, I'm not going to talk more about this, yeah. It's something that I'm doing it now, right? And there's another kind of analytics, yeah, that you can look at is the live logs report. The live logs report is basically telling us, you know, showing the activity logs from the past 1 hour. What is happening from the past 1 hour in our course, yeah, in the LMS. Okay, and it has actually the live updates of every 60 seconds. Okay, that is what we have set in my LMS. Yeah, so it actually provides a good information on active live participants. Yeah, so sometimes you may need to have an understanding of on active students, yeah, the behavior of the students for a specific activity on a pre-specific time. Therefore, you can use this live logs report, yeah, to find out the behavior of the students, yeah. So, now, the next one, okay, is the statistic report. Statistic report shows the line chart, you know, so just now you don't have this statistic kind of report, yeah, but this one shows the line chart, yeah, of the number of activities by all the users, either teachers or students, yeah, for a specific durations, yeah. For example, this is how it looks like. This is a statistic report that you can derive, yeah, from an LMS, yeah. So here you can see like the purple one is the students' actions, you know. This one is over a week, okay. You can, this is what is the happening over the week, okay. And this one is from the teachers, yeah, and the blue one is actually showing the total hits, the total participation from all participants in the course, yeah. So this is what you can see. So what actually Another thing that the statistic report provide is the details on the number of activities. Yeah, so just now you see the line chart on it, right? But here it also provide a tabulation of the details, yeah, on the number of activities, okay, with the corresponding activity logs. Okay, means that you can see, how many student views, on that particular day, how many student paused, and you actually can link to the course log to find out the details, who actually doing that and what kind of actions has been done. Okay, so on and so forth. So you can actually have this tabulation, which you can derive from the statistic report. So what I could say that is that the online behavior that we can retrieve easily from the statistic report is looking at the participation trend over certain weeks or certain months. Yeah, we can look at the trend, yeah, just by looking at the line chart, right? So for my case, yeah, we don't do this weekly, but my student partner actually do it like a monthly basis lah. Okay, so so student partner help me to identify the weeks or days when the participation is at peak. Okay, so once again, you can see that student partner who is not enrolled to my course is working like a core researcher once again, and here it actually helps me to identify specific teaching and learning activities that can trigger certain level of participations. Yeah, and we found that like participation often spike on days in which live classes were held. Yeah, so just now you see the trend. Yeah, so when it ups, yeah, means we have live classes. Yeah, so this signals, yeah, the potential benefit of adopting hybrid instructional mode. Means that you have the asynchronous in your LMS, but you also support it with your synchronous in your live classes. Yeah, so I'm seeing that trend in my course. And the synchronous live classes can trigger students' participations in the asynchronous LMS, yeah, because I have designed in such a way, yeah, that the whatever that you did in the LMS has something to do with the live classes, yeah. And participations levels also inform me about the good pedagogical practices and also otherwise, lah. Okay. And what we did was that we did a cross check, with the activity reports here for each week, and we found this. Okay, these are derived from the statistic report. So for week 1, for example, these are the number of students online activities in my course. So we have 4727, which is quite high. And then these are the main activities that we have. So after reflection, I think that populating online course with relevant resources will increase online engagement. That's one thing. Week 2, participation is also high. Okay, and these are the activities. And after looking at these activities, I conclude that individual tasks can actually increase online engagement because all these tasks are actually individual tasks. Yeah, so therefore that's the conclusion that I get on my pedagogical practice. And for week 3, for instance, this is the number of activities. And 3 and 4, yeah, I put it together because they are doing similar activities. So reflection on my pedagogical practice, I do feel that aligning the online tasks with the live class activities actually increase online engagement. Yeah, because during these 2 weeks they are supposed to work on the group research project idea and they have to present it in the live classes. So active in the LMS because it is something that they have to deliver in the live class. Yeah, so something that give me a good reflection as well. And then week 5, I reflect that providing learning resources on a weekly basis can ensure consistent online engagement. Basically means that we don't provide everything together at one time, but in my case, I actually provide it week by week. So I will turn on my learning resources week by week. So at least I still have participation, although there is no other activities. Yeah, I found that I still have quite good number of online activities because there are learning resources that they need to go and access. Yeah, and then week 6, participation increase. I found that activities that will directly benefit student course performance will increase online engagement. You see week 6 and week 7, the participation comes in because this quiz is actually very related to their mid-semester examination, which is going to be accessed, right? And for week 8, another reflection on my pedagogical practice would be, I found that a compilation of learning items can actually increase online engagement to my LMS course. yeah, because they will actually use it as a spot where they will refer to all the materials that they need to get ready for their mid-semester examinations. Yeah, so this is actually just an example of the reflections that I make on my own pedagogical practices based on the analytics that I get, yeah, from the statistic report. Okay, and here number 8, this content access report. This one you don't get it from your LMS if it is just the Moodle. Okay, this one requires some kind of plugin to your Moodle. So if it is prepared by your system administrator, then you can actually access this report. This content access report is actually very nice because here it actually lists out all the learning items in your course, and then you can see the green bar and the blue bar. So by clicking at the green bar, you will know that, okay, it will actually display the list of students who actually access that particular learning items. And this one, actually, I'm clicking on the red bar. So it will actually display all those students who have not access to that particular learning item. And the very good thing is that you can straight away send message here to those students and ask them to work on it, right? So I think this kind of analytics is really very good to tell us the behavior of our students, yeah? And another one is the hits distribution report, okay, where just now in the course participation report, yeah, you only can see in text form, right? But here you actually have a quick visualization because you have this area chart, you know, on the students' participation. So here you got the list of the name of the participant in your course, and here you actually can see the area chart, yeah, that shows the different participation level of your students. So straight away, you can have a quick overview of your participation level of the different students. Yeah, so this is also a very nice analytics report, but this requires plugin, yeah, to your LMS. So not necessarily you will have this in your LMS. Okay, so generally, this is what I want to cover for the first platform, which is on the LMS. So what I'm trying to tell is that there are actually various ways for you to look into the online learners' behavior through the learning analytics that are provided in the platform itself, yeah, that enable you to devise some kind of intervention strategies, yeah, especially ongoing interventions that I think would be meaningful to help your students to learn better. Okay, so that's on that platform. So I'm going to move on to the second platform, and this is not going to be so long. It's going to be shorter this time. This is the platform that I use, and I believe many of you are using the social messaging app as well, yeah, in your teaching and learning, okay, during this pandemic. And how can this platform inform us on their online learning behavior? Okay, so I found that one of the very straightforward thing is that we analyze the chat content. Okay, and it actually can give us some insight on how our students behave in the platform itself. Okay, so of course, in my case, I use it because I want a real-time communication, okay, between myself and my students. And it is also a very good platform for me to provide announcements, reminders, and also to respond to student inquiries. Yeah, you do not want students to come to you to ask same questions individually. But sometimes, you know, same questions, you know, you can just tell everyone, you need this kind of platform, yeah, for you to inform everyone, okay, to respond to certain similar inquiries by our students. Yeah, and also I feel that this is also a very good channel for students to reach you privately. I know some instructors do not like it, but I'm okay with it. Yeah, so I'm fine with it. Now, online behavior can be reviewed, yeah, by analyzing the chat content, yeah, to discover their interaction behavior as well as their interaction focus, yeah. So in my case, I found that, you know, through the chat analysis, yeah, we found that, you know, this particular social messaging app, okay, in my case, I'm using WhatsApp. It's actually used to establish connection with peers. Yeah, students use it to establish connection with their peers. Yeah, and also it actually encourages peer-to-peer interaction, as well as it encourages instructor-students interaction. Yeah, so by analyzing the content itself. So who helps me in analyzing? My student partner actually helped me to analyze. Yeah, once she got some idea about it, so she alerted me on it. Okay, so we found that one of the things is that, you see, this is an example how students establish connection with their peers. These are actually first-year students. They never come to the campus and they do not know each other. So they are actually using this platform to find their group members and also to establish connection with them. So how important is it? We have to understand that students do not know each other as well. Okay, so this kind of platform actually can help to establish those kind of connection, and also encourage peer-to-peer interaction. Here we can see that students are responding to each other's inquiries. Yeah, and then if further on, we also found that students start to share their knowledge with each other, using that platform. And further dialogue, we found that like students actually said that like one of the students said, WhatsApp is actually better than ELIP. ELIP is our LMS, yeah, because I'll be holding my mobile phone all the time. Okay, that's one thing. Another student said that, WhatsApp is an effective communication medium for lecturer to make important announcements because I seldom check ELIP. Okay, so you seldom go to ELIP to check. Yeah, that's the LMS. Yeah, so it shows how important the social messaging app is, and it actually convinced me that I should continue using it. Although it's intruding a little bit of your privacy, but it really benefits our students. Yeah, in this case. And of course, it encourages instructor-students interaction. Yeah, a lot of time instruction is done through WhatsApp. Okay. All right. So the last platform. Okay. Hope you're still with me. Okay. I'm gonna finish very soon. So the third platform that I use in my full online class is the live class. I believe this is a very often used platform. Okay. And if you look at this picture here, this is what we envision, right? Okay, we get all the students, video on, and can we see everyone? But the fact is that we don't see anyone. Okay, we only see their names, their initials on the screen, and most of the time we are talking to the screen. All right. So how can we understand students' behavior in this platform? Okay. One of the ways to understand students' online learning behavior is by looking into their attendance report. Yeah, so as for me, every time they come in the live classes, they will have to scan the QR code. So in Unimas, we're using the QR attendance. So put up the QR code and student will scan, and then our system is nice enough that the system will actually generate the list of students who are present, okay, as well as the list of students who are absent, okay, and it actually provides a very good overview of individual student attendance to live classes, okay. So the online behavior that we can actually derive from here is who actually attended our live classes and who actually did not attend our live classes. Yeah, that's very obvious, but it's important. Yeah. So my student partner actually helped me. Okay, every week I will send the attendance list to the student partner, and she will identify the absentees of my live classes. Yeah. So it will then prompt me to establish some kind of personal communication. Yeah, especially with these absentees. Okay, those who absent for maybe not just one time, but a few times, And once again, I found that these students also reported on their poor internet connectivity. So what I did was that I put all the recorded live class sessions in a shared folder, and I asked the student to access it whenever the students can. Okay, so for offline watching, that's the intervention that I can do. But as I mentioned, my live class is not meant for lecturing. Okay, it's just meant to reinforce the learning that they have done in the LMS, okay, to do revisions and to do reinforcement. Okay, it's not a lecture at all. Okay, so so my student partner also helped to another one, yeah, another source here for us to know about our online students behavior is through the examination of the live class interaction. Yeah, so my student partner will actually come in during my live class session. Okay, if she cannot make it, then she will watch the recording. Okay, she will observe student interaction during live class, and she will actually dialogue with some chosen students, yeah, to find out more. Why are you active in the class? Why you not so you dare not talk in the class, in the live class, and why you never participate whenever the lecturers ask you certain questions. So she go and prod further on those. So once again, she's acting as a core researcher. So here, online behavior is revealed by examining the interaction behavior and the interaction focus. And online experience is revealed when the students is actually having dialogues with this chosen students, yeah, chosen students. So the insight that we gain, from this is that we found that, students actually prefer synchronous text chat to verbal interaction. Yeah. And also they prefer questions with short responses. Yeah, that's what. So for the first insight, prefer synchronous text chat. Yeah, you know, in a live class like what we are having now, you have the live text chat, right? So they actually prefer that than turning on the mic and talking to the instructors. Yeah. So further probing, yeah, found that, you know, like for example, one of the students said, I feel shy to voice out. And another student said, I'm not confident to speak up in live meeting because there are a lot of people in class, you know, something that we are facing in the face-to-face as well, right? And as myself, I actually confirmed that, you know, because many students actually private message to interact with me, okay? Even we have the group chat, they still don't dare to actually voice themselves in the group chat. So any inquiries, still ask me personally, okay? And asynchronous communication channels, yeah, such as email, and also the messaging function that is available in our LMS. I found that they were not employed by any of the students. Yeah, still they prefer to have this text chat kind of communication. Yeah, right. And then prefers questions with short responses, and that's another thing that we found out. Okay. And like for example, yeah, the highest responses received was yes, which appeared 81 times in the chat box during a live class meeting, versus 5 responses when the instructor asks a question that is that requires a lengthier answers. Yeah. So what does that inform me? Basically, it is trying to tell me that maybe I should look into the possibility to actually use more questions with short responses in the near future, and so that students will feel, you know, can be more active in my class. Okay, that's one thing that I learned, yeah, through this. Yeah. Okay, another way for us to know about the behavior of our students, yeah, through the live class is by doing the live chat content analysis. Yeah, so my students did that analysis and also did some dialogue with some chosen students and conducted an online survey, which also I helped in the process. It's just a very simple survey, consisted of just 2 questions, asking the students in the course, yeah, all students in the course, to give us like 3 best learning experiences as well as 3 worst learning experiences. And that was conducted by the end of the course, you know, so they would just use the Google form and provided those responses. And it's very useful, you know, to read about their learning experiences because it actually informed me about something, okay? So the insight from the live chat content analysis, we found that actually the live chat analysis, yeah, in my context, it is actually moderately used for learning purposes, yeah, because when we analyze it, we found that, you know, 12% is on attendance, you know, asking me to key in their metric number, yeah, because they cannot scan, okay, example, okay. 30% is actually on greetings and appreciation, yeah, saying good morning and then saying thank you at the end of the class. Only like about 56%, yeah, is about questioning the lecturers, questioning me, and also giving responses to my questions. Yeah, so these are related to learning. Okay, so you could say that actually it's just moderately used. Yeah, so further probing, okay, I found that, you know, these are some of the reasons for non-participation, yeah, in the live chat. Yeah, so one of them is reluctance. You know, you just don't feel like to do it, so nobody cares and nobody knows, and you can't be forced anyway. So reluctance, yeah. Shyness, you feel shy. Okay. Internet connectivity is also another reason, and another one is language barrier. So these are some of the reasons that we found out, okay, you know, why they don't actually use it actively for learning purposes. Yeah, why they never ask a lot of questions in the live class. Yeah, through the chat channel. Okay. So let's cover the 3 platforms. Yeah, the way that I actually look into the behavior and also their experiences through my students' partner. Okay, that's one thing. And another one that I want to focus here is that so far I've been talking about student partner who is not enrolled to my course. Yeah, but as I mentioned earlier on, I also involve student partners who are enrolled to my course. Yeah, so these student partners, as I mentioned, they are easier to be recruited, but then they do not have access to the LMS analytics. So just now you can see a lot of the reports provided by my student partner who is not enrolled in my course, she actually refer a lot to the learning analytics because I have included her as the instructor of the course. Therefore, she can access all the analytics. But because these student partners, they are enrolling students, so we cannot actually give them the access right as an instructor, right? So therefore, they don't have the access of the LMS analytics. So if you were to involve this kind of students as the student partners, you can't actually get this kind of information, okay? So you will have to do it yourself then, okay? So you can still retrieve all the learning analytics yourself, and you can do the analysis yourself without your students helping you and without your student giving their perspective on it, okay? So that's a way to do it. But the thing is that without that student partner, sometimes you are not so disciplined, okay? You tend to forget to do that kind of analysis. You tend to forget that kind of reflection. But if you have a student partner, you will be very disciplined, yeah? Because the student partner will alert you and you will work together with your student partner, right? That's one thing. So here the student partners enroll, yeah, to your course. Although they cannot access the LMS analytics, I found that they are also a very good source of partner because they can provide weekly in-depth reflections. The student partners who are not enrolled to your course cannot provide that because when they come in as a third party. They don't really need to learn the content. Yeah? But these student partners who are enrolled to your course, they need to learn the content. Therefore, they can have this in-depth reflection because they have the first-hand learning experience. And I think this is very, very meaningful. Yeah. And they also can establish dialogues with their peers. You know, they can also ask their peers to confirm whatever they observe, to confirm their experience. Yeah, they can do that. And this reflection actually provide valuable inputs, yeah, and suggestions on your pedagogical practices. I think that is a very good thing if we were to involve these students who are enrolled in your course. Yeah. So in this case, you can see like students play more role as a core designer rather than core researcher if you were to involve students who are enrolled in your course. All right, so I'm reaching the end of my sharing. So this is the conclusion. So as we are reaching the conclusion, so let's do a reflection to conclude this webinar, okay? All right, so I hope everyone is still with me. We have about 5 more minutes, that's 7 more minutes left. So I hope everyone will participate by providing your responses, yeah, in the live chat, yeah, in the live chat box, yeah, okay? So everyone responds, we do a bit of reflection and we will end the sections, yeah? So my first question is, name one thing that you learned today, okay? Not really a question, but it's time for you to reflect, okay? Today in live chat. Okay, I start to see that it says, some of you say is that proactive means to improve student learning experience and performance. Yeah, very good. I have, yeah, you learn about student partnership. Okay, that's very direct. Okay. Important to have pedagogical partnership. Okay, that's one new thing that you learn. Improvement can be made from data in the system based on student participation. Yes, very good. Got to get the data from your LMS, find out more about their behavior. In whatever platforms that you use, you find out more about their behavior and do the ongoing intervention. I learned how to use third-party pedagogical partnership. Okay, great. The role of the pedagogical partnership is achieving specific goal in online learning behavior. Yes, yeah. That's one new thing that you learn. Great. Okay. Any more? More from any one of you? Okay. Pedagogical partnership was something new that I learned. Okay, great. Okay, I have students' questions here that I'm going to entertain later on. Yeah. Okay. since I have no response, so maybe I'll just answer the question first. How the student partner was assessing the LMS report, okay, because most of the reports are for lecturers. Okay, so as I mentioned, only the student partner who is not enrolled to the course can have the access, yeah, because you can actually allow this student partner to become the instructor of your course. Therefore, this student partner can access the reports, yeah. So if you are getting student partners from those who are enrolled to your course, then you cannot do that part, yeah. You most probably cannot allow them to access the LMS report, okay. So all right, so let's move on to the next reflection. Describe a good idea that you heard. You may say none, but if you have, to give a brief description of a good idea that you heard, okay. So I learned how to leverage various types of Moodle reports. Yeah, that's very good. Okay, yeah, do make use of the Moodle reports, yeah, because it's there. Not many people are using it. Okay, get students to open up. Right, correct. That's correct. A very good idea from that you heard. Okay, students. Any other good idea that you heard? If you don't have any, it's okay to write none. A collection of kind of interventions needed, a reflection of the kind of interventions, yes. Because by knowing their online behavior and also experience, it actually can prompt us to think of the right intervention, yeah, which we often don't do if we don't establish this kind of partnership. Yeah. And then the idea of having student partners to assist in analyzing student performance, yes, yeah, that's getting them as a core researcher, okay, which I think is good because sometimes we may miss out on some data and sometimes we may not have the same perspective like what our students have, right? Yeah, so much to learn about online behavior, even from simple reports. Yeah, that's very nice comment from you. How teaching assessment at the end of the semester via LMS or e-learning contribute to this partnership? Is that a question? How teaching assessment at the end contribute to this partnership? How the assessment contribute to this partnership? What does it mean? How teaching assessment at the end of semester contribute to this partnership? Okay. Unless you have a very nice record, yeah, it's usually not easy to see the effects of an intervention. Yeah. If you want to actually relate that intervention to your assessment, means that you want to see that intervention and see whether that intervention has an effect on your assessment. Okay. You can most probably do that by the end of the semester, you know, by looking at it and doing some kind of further analysis on it. Yeah, but usually it's not so easy to find effects of something towards something. Okay, but you may find the relationship. Okay, you may find that okay, because you actively doing the quiz, you know, you participate in all the quizzes that I've set, and I found that it is actually positively related, yeah, correlated to your course performance. Then that can actually inform you. Okay, that one you have to do your analysis after. Okay, so it may not directly come from the partnership. Okay, but I found that this partnership can also be prolonged in such a way that if you have these students to do this kind of analysis for you, which is actually not needed, you can actually do your own analysis, right? But if you have like students doing it as part of the FYP or as part of the maybe for their postgraduate study, you know, a master study, then you can actually turn it into a research study. Okay, turn it into a research study, but the data is coming from your course, so it comes from that kind of partnership. Yeah, so I think it works in that way to find out more about the effects of whatever you did. Okay, the activities that you did, the intervention that you did, towards the final course achievement of your students. Yeah, I think that's the way to find out more about this. Yeah, I learned how to analyze online behavior during the new normal. Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Okay, so the next, what will you do with what you learned? Okay, that's the next reflection. You may say I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm just to keep it as a something that I know. Or maybe some of you will say, well, I'll see what will you do with what you learn. Okay. Okay. The frequent analysis of the LMS reports to provide on time intervention. Yeah, okay. So I guess this is not a question. So it's just telling me that frequent analysis of that LMS report can actually help to provide on-time intervention. Yeah, that's a very true. Okay, very true. Okay. Start with various analyzing various report. Okay, that's very good. Okay, that's what I want to hear. Okay, at least you start with it. Okay. Can correct intervention strategies, yeah, by knowing the behavior through the reports, through the analysis that you have, through the observations that you may just employ some of the student partners to work out. You may not need to do something that is so comprehensive like what I am doing, okay, but you can pick and choose, what kind of observations that you want the students partner to help, okay, or what kind of report, yeah, analytic report that, a simpler version of it, okay? You don't have to do something that is so comprehensive like what I'm doing, yeah? Try out some of the strategies that you mentioned, get student partner, and then analyze and identify. Oh, that's very good. And I'm so glad to hear it. Yeah, you need to digest it first. Yeah, it has been a very non-stop 2 hours. Okay, all right. Okay, and finally, my last slide is, what questions do you still have? All right, now you can pause your question. You still have any questions? Any questions? Do you still have any questions? You can turn on your mic if you do not want to write it in the live chat. No questions or any questions? Okay, let me check any questions from any of you. Okay, seems like there's no questions. Okay, I have questions here. Okay, there's quite a lot here. Okay, questions. What are the criteria needed for students to participate in the pedagogical partnership enable? Not enroll to the course, senior student, communicative, reliable. Yes, you can actually get students, senior students, no problem. Okay, someone who is not enrolled to the course. Someone who is enrolled to the course also can, but as I mentioned, there are limitations, yeah. And also strength by involving them. Okay, different students will give you different input. Yeah, enrolled and non-enrolled. Yeah, they have different access. Yeah, therefore they have different experience. Yeah, therefore they will give you different kind of input. So which one you want to have more? Okay, so you judge. Yeah, and also yes, communicative. Yes, you got to find someone who is communicative. The more communicative the students is, the more input you are going to get, okay, especially if you are getting students from your enrolled, from a student, enrolled students, yeah, in your course. It is very important to get those who are communicative, because these students can give you a very in-depth reflections, yeah, therefore can give you very in-depth input to your pedagogical practices, yeah. So if you get somebody who is not so communicative, then your data is not rich, yeah. So this is very qualitative, I would say, okay. Yeah, definitely you have to get someone who is reliable. I found that yeah, that's something that you have to judge on your own, okay. Partnership as an extension or assistant researcher, a helper. Okay, if I'm getting the students for the unenrolled one, okay, it seems like, this particular student's partner serve a lot as a core researcher, okay. So you can think of getting someone who is actually acting as a core researcher. So that's why I said that if you were to get this kind of students, you have to give a high recognition. So if the faculty can actually acknowledge the students, that this would be a very high recognition, because it does require some kind of commitments, yeah. But then once you have the way of doing, it should not be too taxing because the students do not need to actually write out everything. Okay, you just need to provide you like periodical report, periodical. I know I did this kind of discovery and I just report it to you in a very brief way. So it is actually not very taxing as well, yeah. But if you want to plan it as a research project, yeah, something that is related to your SOTA work, okay, you can of course do it, okay. And another thing I would like to highlight is think of it as something that can benefit your SOTA work, you know. So I hope you are familiar with SOTA, right? Scholarship of Teaching, which is doing research. This kind of partnership can actually help you, yeah, to have a better evidence, yeah, in your teaching and learning, and you can actually use it as a methodology for your SOTA work. Okay, right, quite a lot here. Let me see what else. I think there are several domains that can be identified as enablers or inhibitors to the formation of pedagogical partnership. Yeah, theorization of student behavior as online learners, the changing and increasing complexity of providers and recipient roles, the necessary and effective intervention if needed. Eventually, the changing and increasing complexity of providers and recipient roles, the necessary and effective intervention. Eventually, the impact the providers and lecturers make towards students' learning outcome. Okay, enablers or infant. Right. Okay. I think these are some of the issues that you highlighted, which I think is relevant. Okay. All of this, you can turn it into some kind of maybe some kind of research questions that you can further work out, you know, to understand more about it and become part of your SOTA work. Yeah. So very good input, yeah, from our audience here. Okay. My 2 cents. The revolutionary change towards a 21st century PP, okay, could liberate wider the potential university lecturers and students. Student faculty partnerships is the way forward that is gaining traction on campuses. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so happy that you're with me. I'm so happy with that. You know, I really hope that if a certain university can actually take this up and turn it into a university level kind of initiative, yeah, then every course that we have, then we have a student partner and we get a student partner to inform us, you know, on how we are doing. Okay, it can be very detailed like what I'm doing, but it can be also at the simpler and not so complicated form, but it still can inform us, especially on the crucial intervention that we need to do and the crucial amendment that we need to do on our pedagogical practices. Yeah. Okay. In case we don't have student partner, can we do as a course instructor to analyze student behavior? Yes, of course. You can do it on your own. Just that from my own point of view, if you don't have a student partner, you don't get the student's perspective. Yeah, sometimes you always think that what you did is always correct. Okay, that's one thing. But also found out that not many students can actually serve as a consultant that are so daring or experienced, you know, to give you all those advices on how to go about something. Okay, that's one thing that I observe. Okay, so yes, you can do it on your own if you think that, you know, you want to analyze everything on your own, but make sure you are very disciplined. Okay, otherwise, you know, when you are busy with other things, you tend to forget, you know, to do the reflection, to do the discovery on their behavior yourself. Yeah, so as long as you're disciplined, I think you can still discover certain important information about your online learners' behavior and also experiences, and can inform your practices. Yeah, yeah, that's very good. And then, okay, there's a question: do you have any terms or regulations for the student partner to appoint? Yes. We talked about that during the partnership activity number 2, and both partners will have to agree with this kind of arrangement. Okay, so how many times we're going to meet per semester? You know, is it bi-weekly or is it weekly? You know, so we decide on that. You know, there are some terms and conditions. You know, some commitments, yeah, that we have to agree on. Okay, that one you can discuss with your student partner. Okay, and get the best solutions, yeah, on how to go about that. Okay, do you have any? Okay, on a serious note, what are the examples of intrinsic rewards? I believe when you tell them about the benefits, if, like, for example, if you have students who are actually interested to become an educator in higher education, so if they have the experience to actually partner with you, a professor or senior lecturer, or associate professor in a university, I think they will actually value that kind of experience. Yeah, they will actually value that kind of experience. So this is an example of intrinsic reward. Yeah, and for the enrolled students, I really don't see any challenge in getting them, because I found that they are really very eager to tell their experience to you as well, because they also want to see a change in their experience if they experience something that is not good, or if they experience something that is good, they want you to keep on doing it. So they actually are very eager to tell you about that. So students who are enrolled in the course, I really do not see any challenge. The only students who are not enrolled, okay, this is a little bit of challenge, how you want to get them, okay? So that's one thing, right? So I believe I have responded to all questions. Have I? Okay, so thank you very much. I think I've reached the end. I've passed the time, sorry. Okay, thank you very much for being with me for the past slightly more than 2 hours. Yeah, so I hope you benefit from the sessions. So thanks again. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing, yeah? So I'm pass back the session to CDAE.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Chen, for the informative seminar. Thank you, everyone, for attending this seminar. CDAE appreciate your time for being here today. A recorded version of this webinar will be available on CDAE's YouTube channel. Please don't forget to record your attendance and complete the survey form. Okay, we hope to meet. Thank you very much, Prof. Chen.
Yeah, thank you. Just in case any one of you, if they are interested to work out any research project related to this, feel free to contact me. Yeah. All right. Okay. Thanks again. Okay. Bye, everyone. Stay safe.
Okay. Goodbye.